Hey there everyone, Mazrock here, and today we are going to be covering another kind of controversial subject in World of Warcraft. As you may know from watching this channel, if you've been around for a while, I don't shy away from giving my opinion about these, and I'm not going to either now. But before we do get into it though, please do like, comment, and subscribe. It goes such a long way towards helping out the channel. There's a Patreon link down below if you like early access stuff. Early access tank club guides. The 10.1 guides are going to be started to be written very soon, so I'm going to be putting in my work in progress and all that there. So Patreon link down below if you like early access stuff, or you just wish to support me directly. It goes such a long way towards helping out the channel. Thank you. Discord link if you want a wonderful community full of great people, if you want to hang out with a wonderful community full of great people, and a Twitch link to watch me stream. I am going to be streaming all 6 tanks right from the get-go for Season 2. And it's going to be an absolute blast. I'm really excited to start playing more weekly Pug Bingo. If you don't know what that is, Discord link down below. We came up with a bingo sheet for bugs. It's pretty fun. Alright, so getting into the main topic of this conversation. Are carries bad for World of Warcraft? Bad for the game? So I am going to do my best to stay as objective here. I do have kind of a specific opinion, and I will be getting to this point. I know many of you are going to be commenting on this video, either agreeing with me or shitting on me without ever getting past the intro. That's YouTube, baby. Woo! But we're going to be honing in on a very specific sort of carry here. Raid carries are always just going to happen. It doesn't, normal, heroic, really, if you're running any of those, there's like a 95% chance you're carrying someone in that group, whatever. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're going to be honing in on specific is key carries. So, a little bit of history. Over the last few years, we have seen key carry streams and streamers rise up in popularity big time, especially in Season 1 here, where it's so much more important for your vault to be able to get 20s versus, you know, what used to be 15s for a max level vault. So we see a lot more people flocking over to these sorts of streamers and trying to get a high level key carried for them. And at its core, in a vacuum, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, we all like our purple pixels. We all like having high item level. We all like gear. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with what these key carry streamers are doing. I personally don't do key carry streams. It's not quite for me. I find that for me, the moment you stop doing those streams, your viewership drops like a brick, because most of the people are there to try and get their own key carried. Like, that's the point, right? So for me, I've personally opted out of it. But I know many people that do them, and I know of many people that do them as well, and we'll get into that one in a little bit. But as well, I also know a lot of people now that are actually trying to distance themselves from being a part of those streams. I have some friends who were like key carriers. They weren't the streamers, but the streamers would ask them to come help carry keys, get some 20s in, have a good time, right? But I now know that some of these people have gotten back to me and they're like, I'm actually trying to distance myself away from it more and more and more. And the reason why some of these people are doing this, and why I think some key carries can be bad, is because the person getting their key carried needs to have the accountability and responsibility in themselves to try and learn and emulate and watch what these key carry streamers and groups are doing in those dungeons to allow the dungeon to be successful. What is getting kicked? What is getting stopped? How are these pulls working? You know, what's going on? Because what happens is these people get high IO through their keys getting carried, and they think, oh man, I've been in all of these dungeons where nothing's ever gone wrong. I can join a full pug group of 5 and not kick a damn thing and not stun anything and do almost no damage and think everything's going to be okay. And that's bad. That's really bad. Especially once you start getting multiple of these in a row. Now, as when the season starts, that isn't as common, but now that we're in the last week of Dragonflight Season 1, over the last 2 months, I have seen so many of these pug groups. A full 5 pug group. You go, you look through, you look at IO, you look at everything, and you're like, all right, I think this person can do it. And you get 3 DPS or a couple of DPS and a healer. I'm usually the tank, so I don't really notice the tank side as much of these for carries. But usually tanks aren't getting carried in a 20. If you can't tank it on your own, yeah, I mean, whatever. Healers as well, this is also a lot less common. This is much more common among the DPS side of things because you have 2 other DPS that can make up for the third one being a little bit lacking, not kicking or anything like that, but filling the tank and healer role is a little bit more difficult to do in a carry. Not impossible, not impossible, but not as common, right? And then you get 3 people, 3 pug DPS in a row in the same group that don't kick anything, don't stun anything, and have severe lackluster DPS. And I mean bad. And that's not good for the game. Mythic Plus is a group content where everyone gets together, and the unwritten social contract is everyone is going to utilize their kit to the best of their ability to time the key. That's what we all get in for, right? Now, yes, there are other reasons to do Mythic Plus, but when you go into a key, especially a full pug key, if you are in a group of 4 friends and your goal is to go in and dick around and do whatever you want, that's fine. Like, go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't pay your sub. Play the game however you want. But to expect that, or to expect anything different than what you've done in a key carry in a full 5 pug group is absolutely crazy. And that accountability, that responsibility needs to be on the person who's getting carried. You need to go in and learn the dungeon in a 20 to be like, okay, I'm seeing what's getting kicked here. I'm seeing what they're doing. I'm trying my best to realize what I have to do to actually perform well and have responsibilities in a full pug group. Because if you get into a full pug group, you are expected to pull your weight. The reason why key carry streamers do it so well is they have usually 3 to 4 people in the group. Sometimes you pug a 4, like you full pug a 4th that knows what they're doing. But you have assigned kicks, you have assigned CC, and you have a solid group that can do every mechanic. So the key carrier so the person who's getting carried does not have to. But what the key carrier needs to take accountability and responsibility for is noticing what happens here. Seeing what gets kicked. Because when you have a full pug group where no one kicks anything and no one CCs anything, it creates this nightmare, toxic environment that is so bad. Like, I have been shit on as a tank by several DPS that have literally 0 keys in a run. And they say, I need to do it better. But if I join an actual pug group with people that aren't morons and do everything properly, literally we time a key with like 10 to 12 minutes to spare with the exact same route and me not changing anything. And the only thing that changed was there's pugs that actually learned what you need to do, learn what you need to kick and stop and CC, and, you know, how to do mechanics, versus people that got carried, got all of their IO, which is kind of why you can't trust IO at the end of the season. I have seen some people 25, 26, 2700, and I look at them and I'm like, how? How? And then you go over to Raider.io, which is a fantastic tool, by the way, nothing against them at all. I love Raider.io. I love Raider.io a lot. And then you start looking at who they run those high-level keys with. And patterns start to emerge. The same 3 or 4 people start showing up. And all of these players that don't know what they're doing, and they're bad, like I'm going to tell you, like you can do fine a 5 or 10, but once you get up to a 20 and you don't know what you're doing, it starts to show, and then you start seeing who the group is that is running them through these 20s, and very specific names start coming up again and again. And I have noticed patterns of about 6 to 7 groups so far that do this, and there's nothing against it. Like I said, there's nothing against anyone doing this, and I don't have anything against streamers doing this. I don't. But you have to be able to learn what you're doing. Or, if you are a person who just wants their key carried, don't expect to join a group of 5 full pugs where you don't have to pull your weight, where you don't have to do anything, where everything's just handed for you. Now, yes, this is life. We live on planet Earth, okay? There are always going to be people that expect everything to be handed to them on a plate. Has always happened. It is always going to happen. It has happened since the eternity of humanity, and I would bet good money on it. No way to prove it, but I would bet really, really good money on it. The issue is now we're entering group content where you are expected to pull your weight. Pull your weight. Learn how to pull your weight. Or don't join those. My opinion is don't join those keys. If you've only ever had your keys carried for you, don't expect to join a full pug group and be like, they're going to do everything for me. That's toxic as shit. That's really bad. That's not a great mentality to have. Like I said, this is group content where everyone gets together and is expected to utilize their kit to the best of their ability to make the dungeon go smooth and clear and have a good run. And I'm telling you, I have run with some of the best pugs I've ever seen in the world. I have joined pug groups where if I told you by watching the footage that we were not in comms and that we don't know each other, we've never met each other or played with each other before, and you watch the run and you're like, no way. Like, this was clinical. Like, you could literally show this as a guide and just be like, do this. And it's picture perfect in a 5-man environment where no one knows each other with no comms. And then I've also had the biggest nightmare runs of my life. I love this game. I love so many people that play this game, and we all take Mythic Plus to different levels of seriousness. We all do, and that's fine. And if it's just a fun run, it's a fun run. If it's a weekly no leaver, it's a weekly no leaver. You know, all of these things happen, are going to happen, have always happened. And that's fine, but at the same time, people need to stop expecting everything handed to them on a plate because they keep getting their 20s carried by a different group of people when these people join 5-man pugs. That's my own personal opinion. I think the problem is the personal accountability and responsibility of the people getting their keys carried. And I'm not saying everyone's like this. I'm not saying that everyone that gets their keys carried are bad players. Absolutely not. I'm not trying to say that. But there's a large portion of you that are. Because I've run with you. I've run with people that have like 2.8 KIO, and literally it baffles me how they got that. Like, no chance you got this at all. Like, by doing anything right. It, like, absolutely baffles me. Or those are the keys where you're sober and you're drunk or stoned the whole time while you puck. I don't know. Could be. Everybody plays the games for different reasons. But I think this is something the community and us, we need to be aware of and try and do better. Because when you join a Mythic Plus group with literally no intention on using any utility, interrupting anything, or doing any sort of mechanic at all, you're being toxic to the other 4 people in the group with you. Like, I don't show up to a group game of anything, pick up hockey, basketball, or whatever, with the expectation of just standing there and being like, you guys do everything and we win. I can't believe we didn't win, guys, because I didn't do anything and we're not winning. Like, what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, you don't do that to other people. You don't do that to your friends. Don't do it to 5 pugs either. 4 pugs or whatever. But that's the world we live in sometimes. And I think we need to be a little bit more aware of it, and we can do better. The WoW community can do better. That is my opinion. Those are my thoughts. I wanted to get it out there. Have yourselves a good one, everyone. Happy tanking. Bye.